Oh, what's good, YouTube? How's everybody doing? I am currently on the hunt for a couple pieces still, and I figured I'd at least, stop in, say hi. I know it's been a while. I know you guys, everybody's, waiting on a new video and stuff, and I have a lot of things that I am working on and I have lined up, and there's just a lot. There's a lot that's in the air right now, and there's a lot that's happening. Like every week something new develops, and now it's like I have so many fucking, I have so many pokers in the fire that it's actually kind of cool. I'm not complaining, but it's not giving you guys content now, and for that I do apologize. But I did want to come on, at least, come on today and give you guys a little something and give you guys an update, right? Give you guys an update about what I have going on in my neck of the woods. I guess most recently, the thing that really is prevalent right now, that really kind of had me elated for the past couple days, is I went on to YouTube Streets Live podcast the other night, right? And if anybody was there, there's a good chance if you watch me, you watch them. So, but if you were there, then you would already know what had transpired in the conversation once I showed up. And really, they're not a channel that I always frequent, but I've recently came across them when they were the first ones to do a whole episode on the situation with Chad Marks, right? And so that's where I originally they caught they caught my attention, right? They caught my attention when they put some information out there and were willing to speak on something that not everybody else was, and some things did come of that, right? Some conversations were had, and some people were able to relay information back and forth. Like I said, anytime we come together and information is shared, it's like a mind, right? We're all separately, as creators, we're like little neurons, right? Little brain neurons that are firing by themselves. Well, loosely spread out, and we're firing, there's not a lot happening. But the more and more that start to pop up and these little neurons are firing, it starts to become like a working brain, right? It becomes alive. It does. It becomes alive, and things start happening. And things are happening now. You know, YouTube prison world, YouTube prison yard is very much alive, and it's developing, and it's evolving, right? It's literally evolving. Even even the coming of me, right? The coming of me in my channel, in my whole shtick, my lane, what I offer to the prison genre is a part of the growth, right? Because everybody was like, they're tired of all these really, really camera ready, superficial, overproduced, overproduced, content. And a lot of the things that I kept hearing all the time from people was they miss the old days, right? They miss the old YouTube days where it was just a guy and his camera. That was it, right? And from what I can see, they don't care. They don't care how much more production goes into it, how much you pay your editor and all that stuff, and how cool the thumbnail is, because once your people like you, once they really like you, they don't care. They don't care, how much money you spent on the thumbnail and how many cool little sound effects you have, because they made the connection with you as a creator, and they just want updates. They want to know what's going on, right? And that's all it is. That's all it comes down to. People want to know what's going on. But YouTube prison yarda, there is a lot. There's a lot that's going on there, right? The growth, and it's spawning things, right? It's spawning characters, it's spawning channels, it's spawning people like Exposed Tube, Flames Trotter, just a lot of different, Bam Bam's channel. I just shouted out Bam Bam. But it is very much becoming something. And a lot of topics are coming up that are going to be unavoidable pretty soon here. Things like bad standing, being an informant. But like I was saying, if you were in YouTube Streets podcast the other night, he hit me up earlier that day, right? He sent me a text. But he sent me a text. New Age plug, right? I almost said his whole name, but I'm not on that kind of basis with the guy. I'm not going to, come on here and act like I'm just super tight with the guy and all we do is, hit each other up behind the scenes. Now, I literally just talked to this guy for the first time, New Age plug from YouTube Streets. And he sent me a text. We texted a few times throughout the day. And he told me that they were going to have a podcast on. They were going to be live that night. And if I didn't have anything to do to pull through. And I said, okay, cool. I didn't give him a guarantee or anything like that because I have a lot. I have a lot that I do. And when it comes down to it, by the time the end of the night comes and, I get off work and I pick up my girl and we come home, we take care of the dogs, we take care of the snakes, we take care of the rats, actual rats, like rodents with whiskers, not people that, can't handle, can't chew everything they bit off. Not those kind, but we have a lot, right? I have a lot that I take care of, and I have a lot that I have to take care of personally now that my girl is, halfway pregnant, and she's resting, she's dog tired by the end of the day, and that's all cool. I'll take care of everything. Don't worry about that. But that has cut into the time that I would normally take to game, to do things on my own, to watch my own content, not my own content, but the content that I enjoy. At one point in time, I would have came home. We would have both helped each other get all the things done, all the little chores, and then, we would sit down and, settle in for the night, and I'd get on the PS5 and I would game. I would game, or I'd, get online and do raids with my friends, stuff like that. And then eventually, I might get bored of that, and then I'd turn on some YouTube, catch up with some of the creators I follow. But now it's like I gotta pick. I'm like dog tired. I gotta pick. There's only a couple of things that I can do. I could sit down, I could figure out how I'm gonna make a video, or I could, I can game, get some grinding done, and some of the stuff that I want to do, or I could sit there and I could watch YouTube and pay attention to its growth, right? Its development, and all these different channels that are popping up, and what they have to say, what they think, and what they think about me, and all that stuff. You got to pay attention, even in something like the YouTube world. You got to pay attention. You got to pay attention to what people are thinking, what they are seeing, what they're learning, how they feel about it, all those things. But even with as little time as I feel like I did eventually turn on YouTube Streets, and I come in, and sometimes I don't say anything. I'll just sit there and I'll watch, I'll listen. A lot of the times people, they say something in the chat and it goes completely unnoticed. Nobody's expecting to really be to be seen and heard in somebody's live stream where there's hundreds of people sending messages, at once, and they got 4 or 5 people on screen talking at the same time, and there's a lot going on, so for me to just say something in the chat like respects everyone, respect everybody, something like that, something real neutral, respectful. And that's all I did, right? I just put in the chat, I said, hey, what's up, everybody, respects. And some time went by. I had my PS5 on. I was gaming at the same time. And YouTube streets, they were talking about something. And the chat is going, you know, my comment, it had scrolled up a long time ago. And all of a sudden it appeared, you know, they can highlight one comment in the corner of the screen, right? They'll display, right? They'll display one of the followers' comments in the bottom right hand corner. But my comment appeared in the bottom right hand corner, right? It just said, respects everyone, anarchist.
Shots for a while, never thinking they were gonna stick, but it does hit different. But I think he been trolling them for a grip, but it definitely is borderline dry snitching. But it's like you said, a lot of it's public information or shit that people are already thinking, and he's just saying what people are thinking. But he ain't a street dude no more. He's a multi-millionaire, if not billionaire. He got all his tattoos removed. He's a different man. So I mean, I'm sure he's gonna try to justify it, but he been trolling. He been doing this shit on Instagram and shit. He's posting videos of Diddy dancing in prison with gray hair, all kinds of shit. You know?
Yeah, no, for real, man. Listen, this is the YouTube Streets podcast. We got Ronnie Blue Eyes in this. We got DVS stuck in the system. We are in the building. We got a lot to talk about tonight. We got Chad Marks calling DVS. We had a three-way with me, DVS, and Chad Marks. You know, we're not going to get too much into what was said on there, but he said he's going to come on the platform. I believe he doesn't want Flame Trotters up, but does Flame? That's going to be that's going to be part of the conversation too. We're going to talk about Flame Trotters tonight. We're going to talk. Hey, listen, look at this comment right here, right, bro? This easily could be one of the prison genre rookie of the year. Like, there's a lot of nominees. You know, you got a lot of up and coming prison genre guys. I think last year you had, you know, Kentucky Prison Stories. I keep forgetting his I keep trying to tell him to change his YouTube to
Right.
that. That's not his YouTube name, but he should be Kentucky Prison
Hey,
Stories.
shout out to B Luke. We appreciate you. Good
And be
looking out.
Luke.
Yeah,
Be
shout out
Luke.
to B Luke, man.
He just hit us with a
Thank
donation,
you for
man.
the support,
Scandalous
man.
Squad,
Appreciate you all
Bilfred
the time.
TV, Bounce Back TV, salute.
Shout out to
Shout
B
out to
Luke,
everybody
man.
in the chat too, man. Thank you for pulling up. Thank you for your support. It's always needed. It's always wanted. I
So
don't know,
Cobra,
Doug. I think
yeah, go ahead.
with this Flame Trotter thing, I think that kid is he's fucking cooked, man. He's looking for some sort of highlight, and he's not gonna find it. He's shot so many times. He's just shooting in the dark, and he's basically hoping he hits something. This kid has got mental issues. I don't even really want to be you know, in the same fucking pod with him, to be honest
Right.
with you.
Shit. He was just in the comments popping his shit. You know how he do.
Yeah, that
He
kid
Oh,
is
go
Real
nuts.
crazy with
Kins.
it.
I had to go find that real quick so I remember his name. So Real Kins, that's another nominee for rookie fucking White Eyes with I think it's Andy Crowd. What's your channel name, White Eyes? And drop comment again. Everyone sub up to White Eyes. We're gonna have him on. Bro, we got somebody close in the Brian Walsh case coming on. It's gonna be an epic.
Honestly, that shit floored me. That shit absolutely fucking floored me. I knew that there was some cohesiveness to, you know, the actual the community of prison content creators, right? Like, I knew that on some level they do get together, they do talk behind the scenes, you know, the right ones, and they kind of have their finger on the pulse of, you know, the state of the prison. And, you know, I can't not say YouTube Yarda, which just means it's Yarda is the word for yard in Spanish, right? And it's so goddamn catchy that I cannot stop referring to it like that. It's what I've heard, and it just stuck because I know what it means, and there's no other better way to describe what it is that we are dealing with here, because it's a prison yard in the digital realm on the platform of YouTube. But he said that I was probably one of the strongest candidates for 2025's Rookie of the Year content creator. That is wild to me. That is absolutely wild. Like, and it's absolutely flattering too, right? Like, it's an acknowledgement that I never expected, that I never thought would, come from that direction. Not YouTube streets, just in general. I didn't think that YouTube in general would sit back and acknowledge who has made some valiant efforts, throughout the year. Like, I'm used to just not being seen and heard as of like 2 or 3 months ago. Literally like 3 months ago, I had 500 viewers, 400 or 500 viewers. I did a video literally like 2 months ago for my 500 viewer mark. I actually have 1,500 subscribers right now. So that means within the last month, I got 1,000 subscribers. So I figured at this rate, I'm just going to be putting along for a while before any kind of recognition would come my way and stuff. But like I said, since the beginning, I haven't known what to base my growth and success off. Like, how many subscribers are you supposed to have after so many videos or so many months, or you know what I mean? Like, and you look around and there's a lot. There's people that have thousands of videos and have only been doing it for a short amount of time, and they have a lot of, there's a lot. So it's like, I've only been doing this 5-6 months or something like that. I got a few hundred subscribers. I got less than 100 videos. It's like, you can't expect there to be a whole lot of anything, other than paying my dues. And everybody had to pay their dues. Everybody had to sit there and question their time and effort and energy, and whether or not they should be continuing with this, right? Everybody's done that. I didn't think that I would be any different in that regard, but it is cool, right? And I had, and I look at the analytics of my content, my channel and stuff, and it's like, I have a very low view count, right? But people are watching it. They're watching these hour-long videos. So it's like, what I'm saying is keeping people here, but not everybody is liking it. But not everybody does like it. I don't like every video that I watch, and it's just, you really got to like something to just do that extra little bit of effort and just hit the like button or hit the share and copy link. You don't got to send it to anybody, but you hit copy link, and it tricks the algorithm into thinking that, this, so I do that to certain videos. I do that to growing channels. I'll comment, I'll hit copy link. I won't send it to anybody. I have all these links somewhere in my phone probably, but it is what it is, right? But ever since the very beginning, I've had people in my comments telling me, you're gonna go somewhere, you're gonna do something, you're gonna blow up. That's what they always kept saying. You're gonna blow up any day now. You're gonna blow up. And I'm like, yeah, it feels nice to be told that. It feels good to have a handful of people. In my case, it was like a solid 500 since the very beginning, who were all telling me that, right? And I'm like, okay, cool. So I make my videos, and I just assume less than 500-600 people are gonna see this stuff. Now I have videos that are reaching 2, 3, 4, 5,000. One of my videos hit like, I don't even know, 12,000 views, 13,000 views, something like that. And that's a lot. That's a lot than normal. I had so many people that did not know what the fuck I was talking about in my "You're Being Lied To" video, because there was only at the tops 1,000 people who knew me, that watched the channel, my interview, and came to my channel and supported me. Now we have 10 times the amount of people that I'm exposed to, and they have no idea what I'm talking about, who I'm referring to, none of that shit. So I gotta keep in mind that there's gonna be a lot of people out there that don't know what the fuck I'm talking about. It's not just my followers that have been with me since day one that are going to see this. And so it's all a learning experience, right? But there's a lot that's still going on that I got going on in the background, right? I got hit up by New Age Plug. He commented on something and he's like, yo, you got like the best angle for the youth, for the message for the youth. And I don't know who all is he has, analyzed and dissected under that particular scope, but that's all I needed, right? That's I don't care about any other kind of title out there. If my message is the best angle for the youth, then I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing. That's just how I feel. That's apparently that's what the whole thing was in the very beginning, right? If you looked at the history and some of the beefs and the fights that are going on right now, and Tim Snow, he was talking about it like back in the day. Everybody was like, "Oh yeah, this is all for the youth." We're gonna save the children, but saving the children doesn't get you the views. You know, I know that. I don't really know actually. I don't know what gets the views. It's funny because the highest viewed video I got was talking shit for people talking shit about each other. So it's like I my highest viewed video was talking shit about people talking shit about each other. So it's like now I can't carve a whole lane out of talking shit about other people talking shit just because it worked once really well. you know I got to stick to the formula. I got to stick to the plan. And that's that. At some day, at some point in time, somebody's going to see this stuff and they're going to be like, damn, this guy has a message that I'm digging it. I'm feeling it. I can dig it. uh, it's it's palatable. It's palatable for anybody, everybody, of all ages, of all races, of all walks of life. You don't got to be from you don't got to be from the ghetto. You don't got to be from the streets. You don't got to be from the cities. You don't got to be from a lot of things, and you could just be a regular anybody and go through some shit and take some very real lessons from those trials and tribulations and come home and become somebody, you know. And like I said from the very beginning, YouTube was never, it was never, you know, a thing where I was like, I'm gonna do this and I'm gonna make it and this is gonna support me and my family and all this stuff. I was like, no, I had my hands full. I got a full time job. Not only do I have a full time job, I have a professional licensing. I'm professionally licensed in a a profession of my own career, my own career path, all that stuff. I have a house, a mortgage, I got car notes, I got I got dogs, I got animals. I work with animal rescue. I'm probably going to start breeding ball pythons now. Now I got a kid on the way. It's like my hands were full before I ever picked up the YouTube spiel and started doing that. And the only reason why you guys are getting less content from me right now is because I honestly took a step back from filming at work. And that was because I didn't want to be the guy that was just always, you look at the beginning of my channel and that's all you see is me standing outside. What if you knew what you know, people know now, but everybody just sees me standing outside behind the backdrop of like this metal looking building and I'm walking on like rocks and stuff. Some people think I'm on the yard. I'm not on the yard, but I'm at work and I was okay with making content for you guys at that time because I have downtime here, and that doesn't cut into the times that I would normally take at home to do all the other things that I do. But now, you know, it's like I have so much. YouTube was literally the last thing on my list. It is still the last thing on my list. Even when my day's off now, everything comes first. And if I have enough time and energy, then I'll make a video. But now it's like I kind of got to squeeze it in again wherever I can, which is why I'm talking to you guys right now. But it's very cool, and it's very flattering that somebody like YouTube Streets and New Age Plug from YouTube Streets thinks that I'm gonna blow up. At the very least, that I'll be successful. I don't have to be the best at this. I don't have to be the most, at anything. I've never wanted that. I've never wanted that title in anything. you know. But I am competitive. I am competitive in anything that I have ever really gotten into. I have done it to the best of my ability. That's just the way I am. It's like if you're gonna try, if you're gonna put your hand in anything, why not do it to the best of your ability? See what you were really made for. See if you really had the chops for this. And if you are the best, or if you're among the best, then cool. But once you know where you stand, does it pay to continue to try being that? It's like this everything in life. I was one of the best handball players at one point in time, but I couldn't continue to do that because it's extremely hard on your body. Extremely hard on your body. I've gotten more injuries from handball, physical injuries, broken bones, than I have ever gotten through violence and doing hits and going on missions and all that stuff. I've literally taken more damage from no contact sport. I beat myself up. I've literally beaten myself up more than anybody ever else has by playing handball. That just goes to show you how serious that shit goes. Handball is no joke. Not to the people who were, A League, double A League, putting money on it, hundreds of dollars. I remember playing somebody. I said, whoever loses, you got to go up top. You got to check in. If you lose this game, you got to check in. And he was like, no. No, I'm good. I don't want to play for that. I'll play you for some money or some weed or whatever, or ice cream on store day, but I'm not going to play that. I'm like, yeah, that's what I thought. Quit talking shit to me. But aside from that, right? Aside from the only reason why I was even talking with New Age Plug in the first place is because he asked me to come on. Now, I really don't know about talking about interviews before they actually happen, because I think that DOC TV, Doc TV Unleashed, or whatever his name was, I don't think he's going to post the interview that I did with him. And that's mainly just because I think that he thought that You're Being Lied To video was directed at him in some fashion. And the reason why I say that is because I didn't know anything about what he has in his past either. Anything that he might be, not proud of or whatever it may be. But he hit me up. He came with his own information, right? He had his own information that he was perpetuating out there. And we got over that. We moved past it. We did the interview, but I was left troubled. And so I made my most successful video to date. And shortly after that, this motherfucker hits me up and he goes, hey, that was directed towards so-and-so, right? And I'm like, why would you think it had anything to do with you? It's like that let me know there's something that dwells on this man's conscience. There's something that he doubts himself about, which is why he doesn't have the type of certainty on his conscience to know whether or not the shoe fits. Why would you ask if this shoe was meant for you if it doesn't fit? You know what I mean? But if it fits, and you're asking me, is this so-and-so shoe? It's like, why? No, it's not. It's not meant for you. But if it's your size, then whatever, whatever. But a lot of interviews have come and gone. I really can't really say for sure how this man works. Maybe he does an interview and maybe 6 months later it comes out. I don't know. But it feels like we're probably not going to see that. And on top of that, I have another situation. This happened earlier this week or last week, right? Because it's like Sunday. And it's been about 2 weeks now. It has been about 2 weeks. But I woke up, somebody hit me up out of nowhere. Um, I got a message through Messenger that somebody wanted to message me, somebody that I wasn't friends with. So I looked him up and I saw it was just some random person. It could be somebody who wants tattoo work. Sometimes it's that. Sometimes it's people that are just reaching out to me to say, hey, I saw your interview, this, that, and the other, and the third, or whatever. Have a good day. That's it. I have a lot of people that hit me up, one time things, never hear from them again. And so I accept the message. And the guy hits me up and he's like, hey, yeah, I saw your interview. I think he did see my interview, or he saw something. He saw something with me in it, right? And he wanted to commend me on some level. And we talked for a little bit. We talked back and forth for the whole day before this individual finally mentions to me, he said, I think your channel would do really well if you got out there, if you got interviewed, more interviews. And I'm like, how do you go about getting interviewed more? You know what I mean? Like, either they want to interview you, or then they reach out about it, or they don't. I've never gone to somebody and said, hey, can you interview me? Can you bring me on your channel and interview me? That'd be cool. I've never done that, and I'm not going to. But this guy, he's from Canada, somewhere up there, like the Yukon or something like that. He told me, I forget though, but he said that he is really tight with Josh, Death from 23 and 1, right? 23 and 1 Lockdown. Big channel, right? I think he's got like 1 million subs. I'm pretty sure he has like 1 million subscribers. And he said that he's really tight with him, and that he would probably hit him up and get him to interview me. And I'm like, wow, you're just, hey, you're just on a day-to-day talking basis with this guy with 1 million fucking subs on his channel, huh? And he was like, yeah, I'll hit him up. I'll tell him to check you out. If he likes you, he'll do it. And I'm like, that's cool, man. If you do, if not, I didn't ask for it. I'm not worried if it's not, or whatever. I was like, but those types of things, you just gotta sit back and see what happens. Don't get your hopes up. Hope for the best, but prepare for the worst. Right? That's the best thing you can do in anything, in any aspect of life. Hope for the best, prepare for the worst. You can't go wrong. So I'm not getting my hopes up. This guy is claiming things that are pretty high level stuff, right? And he tells me that he put a little word in this guy's ear, and that he was on vacation with his wife or something like that. And when he got back, he was going to check me out. Well, I guess he did. He came back. He was talking with this guy who contacted me, and he told him that when he got home from his vacation, that he would hit me up. And the guy said that if he says he never doesn't do what he says he's going to do, which I understand. He's an ex-convict, and from what I can see, he's pretty consistent. He's very consistent. I watch him. I subscribe to him. I'm still subscribed to him, and that's a big thing coming from me. But I don't know. I got some guy claiming that I may or may not come on to an interview with 23 and 1 of the biggest channels out there, one of the most successful channels out there. He benefits entirely from all the perks of being a part of the prison genre, but you don't see him getting pulled in and having these back and forth squabbles with people about paperwork and who's a rat, and you said this and you like that comment and whatever. He's not a part of that. He's above it. He's risen above it, and that's exactly where I want to be at one point. I don't want to have to come down and dwell and fight in the fucking in the gutters over credibility and whether or not somebody is in good standing. Like that's not where it's at. It's not where it's at, and I can't stand people who think that that's what we need to be doing is sitting here trying to micromanage every other motherfucker. If they got people that aren't willing to handle them, why the fuck should I have to? Huh? If you know somebody that is a rat and they have people that are on that case or in that area and they won't even handle it, but you want me, a motherfucker from bumfuck nowhere, to get up there and say something or put him on blast or travel across the country to knock his fucking teeth out for views. Like, come miss me with that shit, man. Miss me with that fucking shit all the fucking way. That's why I made the video that I made about the YouTube Yarda rats and my response, right? Don't ask me to do something that you yourself have not done. Okay? I know you know who I'm talking to. I ain't gotta say your name. But anyways, so they got two people, right? We got YouTube Streets, who, as far as I know, wants to do an interview. 23 and 1, he's got, like this go between who's telling me that he might want to interview me. And then we have 16 to Life. He asked me to come on for an interview. So I got a lot. I got a lot going on. And now on top of that too, I reached out to one of the guys who was locked up with me. His name is well, I just know it as Thomas, right? But he's got a different name. He's got a channel, makes beats. He's a good dude, solid, right? Super solid, out of Wisconsin. He's a Ojibwe. But I reached out to him and I told him, I said, I'm thinking about taking my channel to the next level and making like an intro. I said, I need a beat. I need a beat, uncopyrighted music, original, for me, so that I can make a little intro and outro. And so he immediately sent me something, and I haven't had the time to sit down and really puzzle something together, because there's some tight ass intros out there. Like I used to love Chad Mark's intros. The way his whole thing comes on, and the sound effects and the blood on the razor wire. It was so cool. It was so cool. Now it's just like, man, I can't admire it. I can't openly admire it now. But then you got 16 to Life, right? He's got a whole like 16 bars that he spits on the beginning of his intro, and that shit is lit, right? That shit is lit. I would bite the fuck out of it if I could, but I can't. So I got to go with some cool imagery and just some original rap music, but that's in the works. Yeah, I just got a lot. I got a lot going on. The guy that I was supposed to interview for the whole Juggalo situation, right? Whether or not it's true that they are beefing with the La M, right? Whether or not there's any credibility to a beef with the Juggalos on a level that is nationally recognized, and it is. And the guy that was there, who was in the fight, who was a part of all the reason I got kicked off, I was supposed to interview him over the phone. But apparently he's going to get out in January, and I'm going to meet up with him then, and I'm going to have an interview with him then.